Look, man, my fault. The mic was muted, but this gonna be my second reaction about WWE. So I've been fucking with WWE since age of 5. So look, let's get into the video, and I'm gonna give y'all my take on this shit. All right, y'all boys, let's get straight to it. I don't do no yapping, no intro music, none of that. Get straight to the business.
We start this video, just know that I'm always trying to find the positive in the world of professional wrestling because I love wrestling and wrestling is cool. I think wrestling is so cool that I decided to call my podcast Wrestling is Cool, which by the way you should check out on Spotify or on YouTube here. But as much as I try to focus on the positive when it comes to the world of professional wrestling, sometimes it's hard. Now over my last several videos I've been focusing on the things that I've really loved in 2023, but today I'm gonna be kind of doing the opposite. Because today we're gonna be looking at the 10 WWE superstars that I think had the most disappointing 2023. Now, when I say they had a disappointing year, I'm not trying to say that they themselves suck in any way, shape, or form. Because the fact of the matter is that they most likely had a poor
Had an
year,
ass
not
match,
because
to
of
be
their own
honest.
fault, but rather the booking or storylines, or in some cases, lack of booking in any way, shape, or form. So just understand, I don't think that these wrestlers that I'm going to show you here and talk about are bad. They just didn't have the best 2023. Hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're going to fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And hey, if you want even more wrestling content, if the daily videos here on YouTube aren't enough, then go check out patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, you're going to get my Raw reviews, my SmackDown reviews, and you're going to get the wrestling.
Hey, y'all go subscribe to that.
3 days early. Thank you if you're already supporting on Patreon. It really does help a lot because YouTube ad revenue is like super all over the place. You never know when you're going to be able to actually make a living.
Yeah, go subscribe to that, whatever. But I think Karrion Kross #1 for sure.
Pay your bills, so Patreon really offsets that. So thank you for helping me do this on a full-time basis. And I want to make sure that like the Patreon is worth it. That's why like there's content there. It's not just like please give me money. It's like, hey, you want more? And then go check it out. Link in the description. All right, let's jump into it. If Being Misused had a mascot,
Yeah.
I think that mascot would be Karrion Kross. Look, I think Karrion Kross.
Hold on, before he get to it, him and AJ Styles, I really could have cut, but they put it so terrible. Like when the girls started getting into it, the Scarlet. Like, they could have cut it with AJ Styles and Karrion Kross by themselves cooking. They could have let that. They could have had potential to be the match of the year.
Can be fantastic, but it's been not just like a poor 2023 for him, but it's been a poor return to the WWE.
Yeah.
Because he came back to the WWE with a lot of hype in 2022 to the point where he set his eyes on not just Drew McIntyre, which was one of the top stars in the WWE, but like directly onto Roman Reigns, and that's really never materialized into anything. And as 2022 came to a close, I think all of us unanimously believed 2023 has got to be the year of Karrion Kross, but it was arguably significantly worse than 2022.
Facts.
It's not because Karrion Kross is bad. That's the thing. He just doesn't get used, and when he does get used, it's very seldomly, and he isn't given anything to really sink his teeth into because any feud or any storyline that he's involved in doesn't last more than 2 episodes of SmackDown. This man didn't have any PLE matches. He didn't have any substantial feuds where like you can look back in 2023 and say, that was a good storyline, because they just like don't exist. And again, none of this is Karrion Kross's fault. This is the cards that he's been dealt, and he's trying to do as best as he can with this horrible hand. And it's really difficult to make a call on Karrion Kross being good or bad because we don't have enough to really make a judgment call. So to me, what I want to see in 2024 is just the WWE giving him enough of an opportunity, enough of a leash for him to either sink or to swim. Because right now, we don't know what he's capable of. Like, we know that Karrion Kross can carry an interesting storyline and have good matches in NXT, but we've never seen him get an opportunity on the main roster, even before when he was fired. And 2023 was just a repetition of the same complaints that we have of Karrion Kross, which is that he gets nothing. And now you have to start to wonder, why is it that he gets nothing? I don't know if there's an actual reason, but it makes us start to question the reasons why. And when you start to question these things, you start to tell yourself stories, and more often they're not necessarily very nice things. But it does look like in 2024, Karrion Kross is getting a new storyline. He seems to be resetting himself. So, look, At this point, beggars can absolutely be choosers. I just want something. Anything. That's what I'm choosing. I'm choosing.
Yeah, they got a cut 2024. I want Karen Cross voices LA Knight at least. Or Karen Cross voices, whatchamacallit, a Bobby Lashley rivalry.
For Karrion Kross to get anything. Next up, we have the curious tale of Shayna Baszler.
Shayna, she's fire. It's just the booking sucks, my nigga.
Beginning of 2023, Shayna Baszler really wasn't doing much. It wasn't until she finally teamed up with Ronda Rousey where we all kind of collectively said, okay, this is interesting. They're pairing her up with Ronda Rousey and making the most badass women's tag team that you could possibly make. I mean, we're talking about two legitimate fighters that could, on their own, in a real fight, beat everyone in the women's division. So pair them up in storyline, then you are expecting these two to be dominant monsters and should both be looking incredibly powerful and strong. The problem is that they were tossed into an incredibly weak women's tag team division where like who cares that you're the top dog in the women's tag team division when the women's tag team division is just a ragtag group of women that get tossed together and are told, okay, you're a tag team now. Look no further than like Tegan Nox and Natalya. What the hell do they have in common to be a tag team now? But I digress. Once rumors started circulating that Ronda Rousey was going to be leaving the WWE, we all thought, perfect. This is the greatest opportunity for Shayna Baszler to finally be cemented as the most badass woman of the WWE, a role that she held before Ronda Rousey really got going. She was a monster in NXT. She was treated as a monster when she initially joined the main roster, but has really floundered since. If she were to have a feud with Ronda Rousey, then we can perhaps re-catapult her to that role where she is the monster of the women's division. And they did go down that route. They went down the route of having Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler, where Shayna Baszler attacked Ronda Rousey during a tag team titles match. Again, by the way, they were women's tag team champions. You probably forgot. And I'm not sure if this necessarily helped her or didn't help her, but the crowd hated Ronda Rousey so much that the heel Shayna Baszler was universally beloved. And she had some really good reasons and some amazing promos that made us believe, holy shit, the Shayna Baszler
niggas hated Ronda Rousey, fam. That joke funny as hell.
Baszler time to shine is here. The stars had aligned. We had a Ronda Rousey that was about to leave the WWE that seemed like she wanted to put over her friend Shayna Baszler and make her be the next badass of the WWE. And then we had a motivated Shayna Baszler who could now really grab that brass ring and was delivering some great promos and could be at the very top of the pecking order in the women's division. Unfortunately, what they gave us at SummerSlam in that MMA rules match was arguably the worst match of the entire year. It was bad. It was slow. It was.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember it. I remember
it
now.
Forgive bad and slow.
I remember it now. That shit was ass.
Is boring. And rather than walking out of SummerSlam with this allure that she's the alpha female of the women's division, she didn't. And because of that, she got immediately tossed right back into the women's tag team division. Hasn't done anything since. And they've just completely tossed Shayna Baszler right back down to the pits of nothing. Apollo Crews has had what I can only amount to a very frustrating 2023. In 2022, he was called down to NXT and would spend the majority part of that time down there in early 2023 feuding with the budding superstar that was Carmelo Hayes. And on paper, you would think that Carmelo Hayes versus Apollo Crews would deliver some mind-blowingly fantastic, amazing matches that could help not just elevate somebody like Carmelo Hayes, but maybe help rewrite the story of Apollo Crews. Because what I was hoping is that this feud and this run in NXT could remind the world of how good Apollo Crews really is, because he can be phenomenal. But ultimately that feud was okay. It was fine at best. The matches were decent, but nothing that was going to blow your brains out. And because that feud with Carmelo Hayes didn't exactly set the world on fire, when he got called up right back to the main roster, he didn't get called up with any sort of hype behind it. And he got called up and then immediately tossed aside, arguably in a worse position than he was before he got called out to NXT. You know, because at the very least, before
this nigga had potential.
NXT, he had like
nigga had potential to be like better than Bobby Lashley, but nigga became worse. This nigga sucks.
A whole Nigerian accent thing, Commander Aziz. He had won some Intercontinental Championships, and sure, okay, he wasn't going to be a main eventer anytime soon, but at least he was getting TV time. Now he's just
I didn't even know he
and I'm
went back
not
to the
here
main
to
roster.
clown on
I ain't gonna
people
lie.
that don't get TV.
I never knew he went back to the main roster. I thought he stayed on NXT. This nigga sucks.
Time, like it's just not their choice, but it's really unfortunate to have somebody be sent down to NXT, be told you're down here to develop yourself as a character so that when we bring you back up to the main roster, we can do something more with you, only to finally get called up to the main roster and have nothing done with you. That's got to be
That shit's
incredibly
sad.
frustrating. Look, fingers crossed, I have nothing but the
That
best
shit
wishes
sad,
for
bro.
Apollo Crews. I hope he has a much better 2024. To me, Carlito was like one of the most frustrating cases in the WWE in
Wait, what you mean, nigga? Nigga had the best return in like probably 10 years.
23. I love Carlito. You watching this probably also really like Carlito, which is why everyone, not just in Puerto Rico, but around the world, went collectively apeshit when he made an appearance at Backlash to help Bad Bunny. That pop was so loud and everyone universally loved the return so much that they re-signed Carlito to the WWE. And all is fine and dandy. However, they kept pushing off his debut and pushing it and pushing it.
Bro, they be getting that shit ass. I forgot he was still on the roster.
Carlito was nowhere to be found. So rather than capitalizing on the hype and having him debut, as close to his awesome pop at Backlash was, they didn't have him debut until nearly like 6 months later. I'm exaggerating. It wasn't 6 months, but it was a very, very long time afterwards because Backlash was early May and he didn't come back to the WWE until Fastlane in, what was that, early October? So the hype had significantly died down. Cool. It was great to have Carlito back, but you pulled the trigger way too late. And whenever I get into like wrestling related friendly debates, because I like to have friendly conversations about wrestling, and people say, we need to save this for WrestleMania or for a different moment where it can be bigger. My argument is always to strike when the iron is hot because you don't know what's going to happen. In Carlito's case, not only did his buzz die down, but the second he came back, he was pretty much instantly injured. So we had a return that was more tempered than it should have been. Like it should have been red hot for the return of Carlito because of how long they spent, only for him to be instantly injured. And now all we have in terms of memories of Carlito in 2023 was his very lackluster match at Fastlane. None of this is Carlito's fault. This is just poor cruddy circumstances that all came to a head, resulting in a very underwhelming return year for Carlito.
Yeah.
We all love Carlito, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back just fine in 2024. This one hurts so bad.
What you mean?
Kairi Sane, the returning Japanese superstar. And this is kind of a similar tale to Carlito. News broke out that the WWE had signed Kairi Sane.
Bro, she joined a force that became like the best woman faction of all time. What is you talking about right here? Kairi Sane joined a force that became the greatest woman faction of all time. How did she fall off? How did she disappoint?
And then the weeks went by, and then the months went by, and then the hype that was originally there when news broke that she was likely returning to the WWE really died down. So it's another one of those circumstances where the WWE just did not pull the trigger fast enough, and when they finally pulled the trigger, they chose the worst possible place to pull the trigger on her return. Look, whatever thoughts you might have about those shows in Saudi Arabia, we have to at the very least admit that those shows have gotten significantly better. But what hasn't gotten better is just their complete disinterest in anything related to women's wrestling. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca Belair, Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, the Saudi crowd just will not react to your entrances, to your matches, or to any shocking thing that happens during women's matches. So why in the world would you take your new hot free agent signee in Kairi Sane and debut them in front of a crowd that didn't give two shits about her? In fact, a lot of
I ain't gonna lie, he got a
Saudi
point.
Arabia that were at that show were tweeting me that not only were people not reacting to her, most of the people around them didn't know who the hell she was. And you had Chicago, the next PLE, a Chicago crowd that would have gone absolutely bonkers for the return of Kairi Sane. So this less than lukewarm reception,
yeah, he got a point,
carried into everything afterwards, because the cat was out of the bag and the cat left that bag in a very unceremonious way. And even since her return, she's just a loss machine. She has won one single match, and that single match that she won was as a part of the Kabuki Warriors. So again, only using her as a tag team as opposed to, treating her like a single star. It's a shame. Bro, poor
I forgot about this
Grimes,
nigga.
man. One of the NXT call-ups that came up with a pretty decent amount of hype because they used him really well in NXT. Not only did they use him really well in NXT, but he had a fantastic feud down there with somebody that you may have heard of, the megastar LA Knight. He was a proven commodity in NXT that could have easily had a great 2023. Unfortunately, he didn't. And again, he didn't not because of anything that's his fault. It wasn't, a lack of in-ring skill. It wasn't a lack of charisma, because we've seen him display all of those things. It's just they did nothing with him. Right off the get-go, he had a great start to his main roster run in a feud with Baron Corbin where he
I don't know that nigga, so I'm skip this nigga right here. I don't know that nigga. Bobby Lashley. Oh shit. I'm gonna get a Bobby Lashley because I don't know that nigga.
Because it left him with no one to have a feud with, no one to have a story with, and therefore he just sort of became a background actor on SmackDown. Again, it's a shame. He's a proven commodity. He can be very, very good at his job if you let him do his job, but he's not being able to do his job, so he's just sort of this afterthought of the NXT call-ups. But look, hey, at least he's not Odyssey Jones, okay? Out of everyone on this list, there may not be anyone whose stock has of the roster, but we're talking about Bobby Lashley.
Both of them boys fell off.
2020 to 2022 was at the top of the pecking order on WWE, and all of a sudden in 2023 he just wasn't. So much so that he was completely kept off of the card at WrestleMania, which is mind-boggling to think about, that somebody of the pedigree, somebody that is just so high up on the pecking order, being left off of WrestleMania. Not only was he left off of WrestleMania, he's left off of SummerSlam and a bunch of different PLEs throughout the year.
He should have been on there.
More or less relegated to just feuding for the United States Championship. A feud where he would just consistently lose to Austin Theory. Now he did come back.
They did him dirty.
Rebranded as a co-manager, in-ring performer. So at least they're trying something new with Bobby Lashley. But when you compare Bobby Lashley's previous years, this is a significant dip in his usage and his superstar power in 2023. So he makes this list, but it hurts to put him on there. But he's on here for different reasons. Unlike, I'm not comparing him to Cameron Grimes. I just want to clarify that. I kind of already talked about him. Austin Theory had a horrible 2023. 2022 was
he lost his title and all that shit.
The year that we thought, okay, this is the next main event guy. This is the guy that's going to get pushed to the stratosphere.
Hell no.
And, okay, I guess it's happening. Money in the Bank, WrestleMania appearances with...
Honestly, I thought he should be next Seth Rollins. I ain't gonna lie.
Vince McMahon,
the way they hyped up Seth Rollins, I thought it should be that.
Rollins, Bobby Lashley winning those feuds. Yeah, really, the world was Austin Theory's oyster. And even in the early portions of 2023, we thought that was going to continue because they were treating him like a superstar. He was the focal point of that fantastic early year Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship, where he beat some absolute monsters in this business. And then what we thought was really going to be the crowning moment for Austin Theory ended up being the beginning of his downfall, and that being the feud with John Cena. A feud that
started off
because Cena was only there for 1 week leading up to the match at WrestleMania, and in that 1 week he completely tore down Austin Theory from head to toe, and he's never been able to recover from that disgusting roasting that Cena laid on him. He did beat John Cena, but so, they didn't do anything for him. They didn't do anything
they didn't capitalize
with any momentum that he garnered from there. He was, again, just sort of stuck in this U.S. Championship limbo where the championship started to feel less and less and less prestigious as the weeks and the months went by. And as you roll down further into the year, his usage starts to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle even more. Somehow his United States Championship run went from one that was looking like it was going to be one of the most memorable in history, a great Elimination Chamber match, a U.S. title match against John Cena, to one of the most forgettable runs in recent memory, where he just sort of unceremoniously lost it to Rey Mysterio. And now he's just sort of in limbo in this tag team, not really a tag team, just sort of being a stooge with Grayson Waller. It was a big fall off for Austin Theory from where he was in 2022, where he was at the beginning of 2023, and if you look where he is now, it's
Terrible.
It's not great. Nikki Cross,
Self-explanatory.
all she does is stare. That's her entire job, really, in WWE. There's a former women's champion who is now a background prop in vignettes, in backstage segments, and backstage interviews that don't even involve her. Her entire shtick is, can you find Nikki Cross? She's turned into Waldo. Where's Waldo? That's the game of Nikki Cross.
Where's Waldo?
Nikki Cross is 2023. I don't know, dude. Look, it's just weird seeing a women's champion being relegated to what she's been doing, which is like largely nothing. All right, that's it. Man, this video really bummed me out. I'm done. We'll do more positive videos. I'm out of here.
That'd be out there, but hey, like, subscribe if you like this one. I'm gonna keep dropping wrestling ones.